Hey guys, today I'm going to be doing a book review on The Columbus Affair by Steve Berry. In The Columbus Affair by Steve Berry, disgraced ex-journalist Tom Sagan finds himself on a globe-trotting journey to figure out a mystery involving Christopher Columbus and a hidden treasure that could have huge religious and international significance. He's on a race against the clock, against a zealous fanatic and his own daughter, to see who will reach the treasure first. I had some pretty high hopes and expectations for this book, you guys, and yeah, I was really disappointed and frustrated with this book. Considering that this book has to do with like a dude, globe-trotting around the world to a couple different countries, and he's on the hunt for like a treasure and some sort of connection with Christopher Columbus and all that. Considering all that sounds fine and dandy, this book was so terribly boring. Oh my god. Here's the thing. These books that are like treasure hunt books, historical conspiracy theory type of books, these type of books, I've learned to not take them too overly seriously. These books are intended to be just really fun at the end of the day. You don't have to take it overly seriously. You get like some history kind of thrown in there and some conspiracy theories thrown in there. And yeah, what I expect is just a really fun adventure story, where you're treasure hunting, you're going around to a bunch of different countries, there's a nefarious villain on your tail who may or may not kill you. That's all I expect from these books, as long as I'm having fun, even if sometimes the narrative or characters might not be totally my cup of tea sometimes. The thing is, as long as I'm having a really fun time with it, that's all I care about. Because it's like, Dan Brown, who has the Robert Langdon books, like the Da Vinci Code and Angels and Demons, those type of books. I freaking love the Robert Langdon books. And yeah, Steve Berry is very much, that's his kind of target of what he writes about, very much kind of similar to Dan Brown and whatnot. So I had high hopes for this book. I have previously read a couple other books by Steve Berry, one being called The King's Deception. I read that a couple years ago, and I was hit or miss with that book, but for the most part, I liked it and I had fun with that book. And I also really highly love The Romanov Prophecy by Steve Berry as well. The Romanov Prophecy is just so freaking good. I love that book. It has everything in this type of genre of book that I am looking forward to and anticipating. So yeah, this book just fell completely kind of flat for me, and I was just bored more than anything. Like I said, this has to do with a treasure hunt, and our main characters are running around the globe doing things, and yeah, does Christopher Columbus have something to do with this missing treasure, and it's just so boring. It shouldn't be boring. I felt like there was nothing happening. That's just it. I felt like absolutely nothing was really genuinely moving the plot forward. How the plot was being moved forward was kind of just bizarre and uninteresting. And I felt like the same bits of information that were being conveyed to all the various different characters, I felt like the same bit of information was being repeated over and over and over again. Because not only do you have our main character, Tom Sagan, who is an ex-journalist, who is getting information as we go, you also have our main villain who's getting kind of the same type of information at the same time. You have Tom Sagan's daughter who is getting information at the same time. And then you have this other guy who's like a gangster over in Jamaica who's like getting information at the same time. So all of these different points of view, it just felt really repetitive, the same cycle of information being told to different people, in different ways, obviously, and at kind of different points in the narrative, but still, it's all very repetitive. It's like me, the reader, I know this, I'm getting tired of the characters, it being repeated to the characters. It's like, I already know this, dear God, and it's boring. And I felt like the whole plot and narrative of this in general, it not only is it just underwhelming, it felt really predictable and safe. Yeah, these conspiracy history type books, you know, I want some bizarre statement. You know, I want some bizarre statement to be explored and looked into, as crazy as it might be, you know, I don't care. That's the fun of these historical conspiracy theories, you know, the more whimsical and bizarre it is, the more interesting. And yeah, it does, it makes you think like, huh, what if? But yeah, this book was just too predictable, too safe, and yeah, it's like I just wanted something totally crazy and bizarre to happen. I don't care what it was, just throw me for a loop, really surprise me. And yeah, this book just never surprised me. And the characters overall in this book were just not very interesting or even likable. Now, yeah, the main character, Tom Sagan, like I said, he's an ex-journalist, and there's some things that have transpired in his past that have led up to him becoming an ex-journalist. You know, his career has basically been threatened and put on the line, and he's been called a fraud in journalism, and he's really struggling with that, to the point that this book opens and he's about to commit suicide right before everything kind of goes down. So I mean, I liked Tom Sagan to a degree. I sympathized with him and his plight and just his way and his lot in life, and he just felt so defeated, you know, and what else is there to live for? So it's like, I did like Tom Sagan in that regard. His daughter, Allie, dear God, there's not too many female characters in this book, but for the most part, every single female character is just not very well written at all. They're all poorly written, and yet Allie, his daughter, is just so insufferably just annoying and irritating. I freaking hated her anytime she was on the page. And the way she spoke to her father, you guys, dear God, if I ever spoke that way to any of my parents, my throat would be slit. I couldn't believe Tom Sagan was taking some of that bullshit from his own daughter, dear God. And then the main villain in this, Zachariah Simon, he's like a zealous fanatic and whatnot. Even he's so uninteresting. I'm a sucker for a good villain, you guys. I love good villains, and he was just so uninteresting. And it's like you're the villain, you know. You're meant to be kind of mustache twirling and whatnot. It's like I wanted him to be a lot more over the top, and he wasn't. So yeah, even your villain is not that great. And then, like I said, there's a character. His name is Benny Rowe. He's like a gangster off in Jamaica. He kind of like runs a section of Jamaica, and it's like his character was probably the highlight of this book. He seemed to be the most rational and making sense, the most cool, calm, and collected. And yeah, he's not really kind of one of the main characters. You know, he's like a supporting character. It's like the supporting character is way more interesting than some of these other main characters, dear God. So by the time you do get to the treasure reveal of this book, because these type of books, you know, these historical conspiracy type books, you always get the treasure reveal, you know, whether, you know, Robert Langdon's finding something that deals with, you know, Jesus or something, or yeah, in the National Treasure movies, you know, Nicolas Cage finds a treasure, you know, you always get the treasure reveal and what it is, you know. So yeah, this book, once you do get to like the treasure reveal, it's so anticlimactic, and it's so anticlimactic to the point that it happened in like a paragraph, and the chapter ended, and I was like, wait a minute, this what? And I had to go back and like reread it. It's like these characters have been building up to this treasure reveal, and they're all just like, oh, there it is. Okay, bye. End of chapter. What? Steve Barry, why? So I guess what I'm trying to say, if you've enjoyed Steve Barry in the past, this might be one that's very easy to skip and just go to something else. I found this one to be kind of boring, unforgettable, uninteresting, very highly repetitive, characters that weren't really interesting, and yet even their actions and motivations felt repetitive to a degree. So yeah. Definitely, I recommend skipping over this Steve Barry book, to be quite honest. Like I said, one of my personal favorite Steve Barry books is The Romanoff Prophecy. I love that book. It has action, a little bit of romance, characters are globe-trotting, there's a really fantastic mystery being set up, and, you know, a treasure hunt of that sort. You know, that book has it all when it comes to this genre of books. So yeah, definitely check out Romanoff Prophecy rather than this. So you guys, that is it for my thoughts and feelings on The Columbus Affair by Steve Barry. In the comments below, have you guys read this book? If you did you love it? Did you hate it? Do you plan on reading it sometime in the future? Just let me know. So that's it for this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. If you like this video, you may like these other videos. Bye guys.